Well, we've had this price volatility in the food pricing in the market, and that has affected a lot of earners. When a bag of rice, for example, is 60,000 naira and your salary is 50,000 naira, so a lot of Nigerians are going hungry, and this has been the bane, and that's why inflation rate flew up to 28%. And a lot of people blame dollarization, a problem of forex, low productivity. But my worry is, why did we have low price of food in Northeast and Northwest? It would have been understood in peaceful times because these places produce a lot of grains, right? And he didn't talk about North Central, maybe because of the crisis there. I would have been surprised. I wouldn't have been surprised if they say prices of commodities are low there, because usually they are lower than that what we have in Southeast, Southwest. And then festivity too, because these places are predominantly Muslim areas, and the other areas are predominantly Christian. And the forces of demand and supply could affect price. Maybe that's the reason. So go ahead. But the most important aspect of the analysis there is that we've had increase in price of food items in Nigeria.
Bon, I think the first part of interrogation should be the credibility of the figures.
Okay.
The National Bureau of Statistics, I know, they've been doing some tremendous work lately. But I have my reservations about the figures they churn out. The last time we heard from them, they said inflation increased by from 27 to 28 by 1%.
1%.
Which does not practically reflect the astronomical dimensions I'm seeing. I read there was a publication in the Economist of last week, and I think it will give us an insight into what we are into. Particularly, that statistics came out sometime in November. I think we discussed it here on this forum.
Yeah.
You know, and that.
They're discussing
they talked about the development, economic development is going by 4%, and I'm beginning to wonder where they got that figure from.
GDP, right?
GDP.
Yes.
And somebody is now saying that the Northeast has more productivity. Well, if the quantum of price of goods and services than here, and I'm beginning. It's sort of raising my eyebrows as to the authenticity of that statement, because I know that a lot of farmers in the Northeast are hamstrung by the operation of the bandits and the Boko Haram and headsmen. You know, they have to pay them. They have to pay some dues before they are allowed to go to farm. A lot of communities are held siege. At the end of the day, they pay some money to these marauders, and most of which are even foreigners.
Yes,
and that's the problem I have. So where they reel out their figures from, I do not know, because I don't think that the figures are as modest as it is now. Go to the market and see how the price of goods and services keep increasing astronomically every second.
But the current prices there are a little bit acceptable, because price of 1 kg of rice.
Have you checked?
1 kg of rice.
Have you checked?
Went up to 1,000 naira. 1 kg bag of rice.
Bag of rice?
Yes. 1 kg.
I don't think you've been to the market market recently. That figure is unacceptable.
One cups, ordinary cups.
It's just like what the federal government came out with, where they thought maybe it's creative for them to subsidize transport and say 50%.
We didn't see that.
50% transport. And I asked questions. I asked around. Nobody saw anything like that. And I now conclude that it is just a ploy, a subterfuge for people to put money in their pockets and disappear. I went to Chisco. I went to a lot of places. I asked for I called virtually everybody who came home in my village. Is your transport from Lagos, from Abuja, from Kaduna, was it subsidized? No. I'm yet to see a single person. I know very well at the end of the day I'm going to come under the Freedom of Information Act to ask those people in authority to give us a list of beneficiaries and how they benefit. So we are contending with a system that's not been honest to the people, that's been very, very far from the reality of what they are contending with, the excruciating poverty that is dominating our stomachs, the hopelessness and helplessness that Nigerians find themselves in this era of total and complete economic damnation. So if the National Bureau of Statistics wants us to believe their figures, they should give us the empiricism.
Yeah.
The empiricism of their research, how they arrived at that figure. It's not just sitting in the office and beginning to churn out their figures.
That appears the Nigerian factor. Now, give your last take on that.
Well, anyway, I will say that we would have given a kind of accolade if some factors were taken into consideration. Actually, before now, the Northeast, Northwest, North Central were food baskets of this country. Now, if transport, the cost of transport, and the corruption on the road, for every half kilometer you see checkpoints. On October, I went when I went to Abuja last. From Abuja even to Port Harcourt, drivers were given every point. And when they do, they now accumulate it on the mission. And if they are bringing food from that point to this place, they will add it. So if they will, first of all, look at the cost of transportation, then look at the corruption on the road, there is this possibility that on arrival, the price of foodstuff will not be determined by all these extraneous factors that came in between. You see, these foodstuff are grown and harvested in Nigeria. We are not talking of the ones we are bringing from overseas. So that people who mischievously, when you go to buy Nigerian farm, I mean a yam, they say dollar. dollar cost. What has yam grown and harvested in Nigeria to do with dollar cost,
including okra,
and okra, tomatoes, and all that? See, things people can be mischievous, quite all right. But government,
there's an incidental price influence by dollar, you know, because of for example, transportation. For example, transporters are complaining of cost of spare parts. And that's part of the reason why they're increasing their the price of freighting goods and services. And so that is put.
My learned senior Fede Falana had said one time that people who transact business in Nigeria with dollars must be arrested.
Yes,
okay. Because it's an offense.
Yes.
It's an offense under the law. But then you begin to see that the paradigm is being defined by government itself. That anything, every transaction with government has to be equated with dollars. Or that.
But we have our own spare parts.
We have our own local currency. Yes. The thing is that the dollar, I felt some bit of sense of laughter when he said it.
No,
but then the impact
of the dollar into the price of local commodities
has become a dominating factor in the determination of the economy, of price of goods and services.
Yes.
That also tells us that we are more of an importing nation than an exporting nation.
Exactly.
Because everything is determined by the dollar.